Hello everyone. This is so awkward. I'm trying these in public. I hope that you guys enjoy these because I filmed all of these in public. Anyway, welcome back to a new episode of Dream Catalyst. Novel is still available on Amazon, Amazon.com, on the American site, and it ships to Canada. What? That's crazy. Who knew? So, you have the option to purchase it, or you can listen to this version for free and turn the captions on somewhere on this side of the screen. So yeah, we're gonna continue on. Last Monday at 6 p.m., we left off at that very steamy ending where Heathen and Elfin cheated. So now V ran out of the, we left off with V running out of the Board Game Cafe. So now we're on chapter 9. Bursting Star is what it's called. So, get your popcorn ready. We're gonna continue on to chapter 9, Bursting Star. If you have the book, it is on page 186. So that's where we're continuing on from if you have the book. If not, don't worry, just listen along. And if you feel like supporting, and you don't want to pay for the book, that's totally fine. A good way to help me out without paying for the book is to leave comments, recommend the book to your friends, post on social media, let people know that this is happening so that more people can hear the story. And that's just as useful to me as if you were to purchase the book. So you can help me out for free, and I would really be grateful for that. But regardless, even if you don't want to, that's cool. Just chill along for the ride. I'm just happy that you're listening to the story, honestly. Okay, so let's get started. Chapter 9, Bursting Star. Opening quote. I will always be myself. It is the only way I know to be, and the only way I would want to be. Signed by V. All I wanted was to run to the ravine with the bridge that overlooked the night sky, but I couldn't. I was miles away from the cul-de-sac, and the ravine, and the conservative downtown I grew up, and its roads lit by a combination of streetlights and starlights. Instead, I found myself alone in the tiny town on the mountainside. I ran. I ran without intention into the afternoon. I wish I could say the weather mirrored my mood that afternoon, just like in the movies when a storm erupts, just as the lead actress begins to cry. But this was not the case for me. It was just an average day. There was nothing special, nothing extraordinary about that day. The people of the town continued on with their daily lives. The sun was shining, birds sang in the streets, but I didn't notice anything because my eyes were drowned by tears. Perhaps it was because that day was so average, so ordinary, that I felt so sad. I idly scattered through the forest, through the trails, through the cobbled roads, and down the spiraling staircases. I saw nothing beautiful in that midday. Instead, the streets looked dull and dying. My heart felt as though it was decaying in my chest, and I was fading with it. Who was heathen to love another, while vowing to stay loyal to me, while making promises he could not keep? Who was he to devalue me? Who was he to leave a scar? I sobbed as I ran. The locals who knew me did not dare approach me, nor did they ask what was wrong. They already knew. I wanted to vomit. I wanted to sob, but most importantly, I wanted to get out of this town. I ran until I could no longer see the plaza. The trail I traveled on looked familiar, but I could not determine where I had seen it before, until I saw a red car pulled into an abandoned parking lot. I also saw an entrance to a trail across the street from the parking lot. I knew that trail, and I knew that car, the red car. It looked foreign now. I once viewed that car as an opportunity, a vehicle that could transport me to my dreams. Now, the car was like a broken promise. It was a disappointment, a broken dream. It was nothing more than a rusted metal tin enclosure, sort of like a cage, like the one I used to carry Leary in. I decided to venture down the trail that piqued my interest on the first day. I recalled Leary, distrustful in nature, once caused a fit as I dabbled with the idea of taking this trail as an alternative path. I was not Leary. I did not fear the world the way she did. The world had reason to fear me. So I decided to enter the trail at my leisure. The air in the forest was frigid due to the cold atmosphere of the mountainside. I wished I could be free of the cold. I never did thrive in the frigid air. There was something therapeutic in the bare trees of this forest. Not a single leaf decorated the treetops. The wind rattled its branches, and the cold air left my fingers numb. I sobbed into the breeze, and it dried my tears. I could not hold back my tears for longer as they trickled down my cheeks and froze to my face. I walked the trail until it ended. Then I walked into an expanse in the forest. A field was frozen over and bare. It looked the way my heart felt. The snow crunched beneath my boots. I took my apron off and laid it on the ground. I sat there in the falling snow and cried. From the narrator's perspective, aka Angel. There is a well-known superstition that when one breaks a mirror, they suffer 7 years of bad luck. But what about those who break a heart? What do they suffer? Well, dear reader, they suffer something worse than bad luck. They bear the loss of their broken-hearted lover. You see, when one gives you their heart, and when they permit you to break it, that person truly did love you. And losing them, you're missing out on a particular type of love that you might never find again. He then lost V. Someday, he'll think back to her as he sits alone in his living room. V will not go through this trauma alone. This time, she has me. Let us not comfort V. Instead, let us teach her how to comfort herself. V, stop crying, a voice said to me. I looked up to see Angel, the woman I had met at the ravine on that starlit night. Overjoyed, I reached out and tried to hug her, but she was transparent and felt nothing. And I felt nothing, nor did she. Angel, I sobbed. Heathen and I. You need not say a word, V. We have all been listening to your tale. I think it is safe to say Heathen is to blame, even if Elfin did fall victim to his cunning tricks. Angel, he gave me love like no other. I was beginning to sob. Sure, he poked fun at me, at my ambitions, but he was never serious. Angel, he was always there, and he was always present. Whenever I needed him, he was there to hear me out. He gave me constant attention. He introduced me to his friends. V, began Angel, he stole your heart, and he broke your trust. He may have been sweet, but you were sweeter. He then took a bite out of your heart, and then he even left you. He left you broken, and it's no fault but his. It is only if you stay broken that the fault becomes your own. I wanted him so badly, I cried. He was my best friend. V, can I ask you something? Interrupted Angel. Yes, Angel, I nodded. V, why did you come to the mountains all those months ago? The mountains? Why did I come? Oh, well, that was simple. I came because, well, why did I come to the mountainside? My mind went numb. I couldn't remember why I came here. All I could remember was that I didn't want to leave. Something in that question struck a memory. The memory was from when I was driving. A song played on the radio. I don't remember the name of it now, just the tune. The lyrics were talking about the freedom of riding down the endless roads. Something in the message of the song intrigued me. I sang along to the tune. Leary, in being a cat, was incapable of singing along. Instead, she sat silently. But then, to my surprise, Leary began to meow along to the song. If kittens were capable of keeping a tune, I believe Leary would have belted out the lyrics alongside me. Then I remembered everything. I came to the mountains because I wanted to get gas, I said. That was it. That was all. The only reason I came to the mountainside was to find gas and money so I could drive onward. The town on the mountainside was supposed to be a detour. But then I met Heathen. I stayed and fell for a boy who never intended on falling for me. Oh, how foolish was I to stay here. V, you have not sung here in the mountains for months, nor have you composed any songs, or written any poetry. Why are you still here in this town in the mountainside? You have enough gas for food now. You have saved from your keep at the restaurant. Now you may go onward. But what keeps you here? Angel was right. She always was. But Angel, my heart hurts, I cried to her. She only nodded. A successful journey mends all broken hearts. Give it time and foster new memories. New memories will replace the old. But Angel, he was perfect. He was beautiful. No, V, you are beautiful. Heathen is not perfect, because perfect people do not hurt others. And he hurt you now. He has hurt you very deeply. I knew she was right. I never intended for my story to become a story of unrequited love. I just wanted to travel and follow my dreams. Angel, I started, what about Leary? I can't find her, and I can't leave without her. Now, I know Angel was a wise woman. She looked at me and smiled, and I knew she had an answer. V, Angel began, Leary is a distrustful creature, and while precariously cautious, that much is certain, her trust can be earned. But it must be earned. She will find her way back to you. Cats always do. But you need to learn how to put more trust in her hesitation. When she suggests her discontent toward heathen, you disputed her insight. When she cried, you did not give her affection. You must learn to love her and take her hesitation seriously, because there is wisdom in the precaution behind there is wisdom behind the precautious beings among us. Sometimes a little bit of wisdom can go a long way. I knew she was right. I'm going back to get Leary. I'm going back to get my kitten, I told the angel. I turned my gaze from her, for only a moment, and then I turned back. Angel was gone. I walked back to the cafe. I knew Heathen would still be there with Elfin. I entered the shop, apron in hand. I slammed it on the counter. Open mic night had not started yet, so I knew I had to make this quick. I walked straight up to Heathen and looked into his green eyes. They no longer looked piercing to me. I had a fierceness in me that I knew he had never seen before. It was a flame. Heathen, I know what you did. I only want 2 questions answered. This much you owe me. Can you not agree to that? If it weren't for the passion in my voice, I felt as though he would have dismissed my request, but something in me scared him. It was the very same thing that intimidated the barista on the day she first met me. So, he agreed to my demand. I didn't want to believe it, and I did my best to dismiss it as best I could. But I noticed it, and I have to ask. In your room, there are 2 nightstands. The one on the left and the other on the right. On the left nightstand, there is a scrunchie. It doesn't belong to me. It has been there since the night I moved in. Now I know it is Elfin's. But on the right, Heathen, on the right of that scrunchie, there is a tiny figurine. I thought it was odd at first, and I never asked about it. It's a fairy, Heathen, a tiny fairy ornament. In my travels, long before I met you, I befriended a pregnant woman in a little town. She had the blondest hair with the biggest heart I have ever seen. Here is the first question, and you had better answer it. Do you know what woman I speak of? He looked into my eyes, and he saw I was not wavering. Yes, he muttered. I smacked him hard across the face, and left a large red mark across his cheek. I was never one to resort to aggression, but it was deserved in this one instance. He caused so much damage. He broke the heart of the naive Caprice, the mother to his child. I had tried to suppress my suspicion, but deep down, I always knew. This was the man who Caprice lights a candle for each night in her doorstep. I gave her my word, I continued, that if I met the man with green eyes and raven hair and the angelic smile, that I would tell him that she keeps a candle lit on her porch for him, and a key behind the plant in her urn. Caprice waits for you, and you don't deserve her gratitude. Second question, where is Leary? I know you have her. I think I have known all this time. You keep her from me. You kept her from me, to keep me trapped here in this town on the mountainside. Tell me where I can find her. The boy was scared. He decided to confess. Yes, I took the damn cat. I figured, what was the point in watching her? You can't travel forever, Nomad. Eventually you'll have to settle like the rest of us. You do not answer my question. I began to raise my voice. Where is my cat? Ethan was caught off guard by this surge of aggression. She is in your goddamn car, he blurted. I felt I would faint. In your car? I put her in there. That red tin piece of scrap metal by the trail. I put the crate in the trunk. Oh my God, Leary, I exclaimed. Bea, it's okay. Please, she's okay. Elfin tried to calm me down. I've been going out to feed her once a day to ensure she's okay. You mean you knew she was in there, Elfin? And you kept this from me? You can have Ethan. You can never have Leary, neither of you. Cruel creatures, the both of you, the lot of you. I gestured to the rest of the friend group. Go, Nomad, exclaimed Heathen in a frenzy. I never liked you anyways. You wanted to be my girlfriend, yeah, that ain't happening. Ever. I don't have time for people like you in my life. You know what, Heathen? I said, stepping up to him. I looked him straight in the eyes. I'm getting tired of the games. He sat down. I nodded to the barista. She smiled back at me. I ran out of the coffee shop and ran back to the car. I opened the trunk and saw my Leary safe, but she was scared. How could they have been so inhumane? I stroked her fur until she was calm. When I was sure she was safe, I walked on foot to the gas station and filled a carton. I filled the car and took to the road. Perspective from the narrator, Angel. Bea made it out from the depths of her own hell. Thankfully, too. She's a strong woman with a bright one at that. So, when someone told her to hit the road, she took it quite literally, and traveled so far from them in hopes she would never see them again. He drove back down the mountainside and saw the little cabin she had passed earlier. He decided to venture into it now, but she was no longer scared of it. Back to Bea's perspective. I pulled up to the cabin. It seemed to call to me. I couldn't help but wonder what it was about this cabin that I feared before. Leary, on the other hand, was never intimidated by this cabin. Strange, I thought to myself. Leary feared most places and people, and still, she did not fear the cabin. I considered for a moment what Angel had told me previously. Leary's trust must be earned. Rather than earning Leary's trust, Heathen and Elfin hid her, oppressed her, rid her from their sights. They did so hoping that I would forget about Leary entirely. Decided to wander into the cabin. It neighbored a ski slope. I could see the hills from the cabin's gaping window. I saw a tiny cafe within the cabin. People were ordering hot chocolate from within. There was once a time that I would have been more frivolous with my money. I might have ordered a coffee with honey and cinnamon, but in seeing that a lack of funds could result in a detour to a town like the one on the mountainside, I decided it was better to save my income. The more I saved, the more I could travel without taking a lengthy detour. I sat alone at a table and watched as a violinist performed for a crowd. He was of South Asian descent. He looked talented, and from the way he played, I could tell he was intelligent. He looked at me and saw I sat alone. He wanted to come to sit with me, but I was not ready. Yet he played sweet, sad songs for me. I felt them, and I cried for them. But I could not go to him because he was not mine to keep, and I was not his. And though he played a melancholy tune that I loved and pitied, I could not go to the violinist who composed poetry into song, who listened to jazz like it was gospel, who saw art in the eyes first. I nodded to him as he played his sad song, and he smiled gravely back at me. I felt for him, but I knew I could not put his blues into robin eggs of spring, and I knew I could only make him bluer in staying. Can I buy you a coffee? I jumped and looked to my right. An older woman was standing by me. Like Elfin and the barista, her arms were decorated by intricate tattoos. You want to buy me a coffee? I asked. I always offer to buy glum newcomers coffee. It eases the soul, said the mysterious woman. I'm not glum, I exclaimed. Well, you aren't exactly cheery either, said the woman. She extended a hand out to me. My name is Abel. I like to get to know newcomers over coffee. Can we talk? I ended up accepting the woman's offer, and we chatted over coffee. I'll spare the details of the more mundane parts of the conversation. I learned her name was Abel, and I told her mine was Vee. Abel asked about my disposition, and I told her about the town on the mountainside, and I told her about Heathen and Leary and all the others who contributed to my broken heart. She asked to hold Leary. She warmed up to Abel quickly. I learned that Abel was a tattoo artist. I supposed she was the one Elfin and the barista went to. I understood as if she was very personable. I did not really realize then that Abel would be capable of shifting my entire perception of the events that procured with Heathen and the others as the conversation continued. Your novel has shifted, Vee, said Abel. I did not understand, but she continued. You've wasted so many pages on others' advice. From what you have been telling me, your first few chapters discussed your own philosophies of the world, remember? Now read your more recent chapters. They consist of mostly dialogue. They're quotes from your past. You insist they can offer you wisdom, though you fail to see that you've possessed this wisdom in your heart all along. I'm not writing a novel, I started. Exactly my point. You are a writer, V, and a songstress. Yet I have trouble believing you, as you just told me you are not writing a novel. Have you written or performed any music recently? She pressured. Not since the artistic alcove in the city of Bobcuts. I haven't performed music since then, I smiled. V, darling, when did you, when you did not pick up the pen and tell your own stories, your novel consists solely of other stories, not your own. What is your story, V? What is your legacy? I knew Abel was right, even though I did not want to admit it. I'm scared, Abel, I admitted, looking into her eyes. I'm scared I will lose myself again to the mountainsides. The mountain tops are lovely and worth the clamber, V, but don't lose yourself again to mountainsides. Mountainsides belong to the half-hearted, those who started on their hike to reach the mountaintops, but then quit, and decide to reside in the towns on mountainsides instead. It sounds as though you spent enough time on the mountainsides to recognize the land of the half-hearted. Your concerns are valid. They are valid because we have all, at one point or another, found ourselves caught, stuck, on a mountainside with strangers who disempower us. Why did I give them such a large chapter, Abel? An unmotivated and exhaustive chapter at that. I almost stopped writing entirely during those 3 chapters I gave them. Well, it's like this, V, started the wise Abel. Why do all fairy tales end in happy endings? Ask anyone. Most will tell you it's because we tell fairy tales to children, and it's important that we end on a high note to teach them about hope. Still, I wonder, why don't we begin every fairy tale with a happy start? Why do we tell stories of characters who endure struggle and pain before they finally attain that golden ending? Well, the answer is simple. It's because the story is in the struggle. Forgive yourself for writing long chapters about those who meant the least to you. Those chapters are meant to teach you to be more attuned to the people who mean the most to you. The people who hurt us redirect us to the friends in our lives who actually mean something to us. Why do you live on the mountainside, Abel? I asked her. She smiled. Because, V, I'm an old woman now. I've lived my entire life grazing mountain tops, and I've spent even more time clambering their sides. I know the view of the mountain tops like the back of my own hand, and I want nothing more than to encourage the mountainside dwellers to see that view for themselves. I give them art. Little tiny pieces of art to carry with them in the hopes that someday they will look down at their bodies and see the symbol that's meant to remind them that they do have what it takes to see the mountain tops. They had it with them all along. Some dwell on the mountainsides for an eternity, and they keep travelers hostage with them. I, on the other hand, hope to feel the travelers from the mountainsides, so she may rise to the mountain tops. I considered Abel's soft warnings, and I valued her for them. The mountain sides did trap a lot of people with potential, like the barista and Elfin. I wished them the best. I looked to Abel's arm and noticed one particular tattoo that I felt the need to ask about. Your tattoo is very beautiful, Abel. If the artists don't praise our art, then who will? Thank you, V. It is my own design. And when I'm not decorating my own arms of when I am not decorating the arms of mountainside dwellers, I draw on my own. She laughed to herself. Did you do the sleeve on the barista in the Board King Cafe? And do you know a woman named Elfin? Yes, I most certainly do, Abel smiled. V, you fear losing yourself to the mountainside, but I know better than to fear the inevitable. We fall victim to the mountainsides every so often. Mountainsides can be towns and cities, even places of work. People can also be mountainsides. There is nothing wrong with taking leisure on these mountainsides. only as long as you can keep moving upward to see the starry sky. I do not think you have to worry about losing yourself to a mountainside again. I will give you permission to give you a little permanent reminder, a symbol, one for you to look down upon in times of stress, so that you will never forget yourself again. Abel, thank you, but I am trying to save money for the road. I never said that I would charge you, Abel cut in. In fact, I believe all I said was that I would give you a little permanent reminder of who you truly are. I charge for my designs, and seeing the tattoo is not meant to represent my true self, but rather yours, you should design it, and then I will ink it onto you. What a compelling proposition. But now, I was left to consider what best represented me. What symbol could help me the next time I found myself on the mountainside, to encourage me to break free from it and clamber upward. Then it hit me. I knew what I wanted. Abel, I want to be reminded to climb upward, to always look to the stars. Of all of the symbols in the world, a star, bursting with energy, would best represent me. Yeah, the star is the cover. That was me obnoxiously trying to point that out. Where was I? Bursting with energy would best represent me. I took a napkin from the coffee counter, and Abel passed me a pen. I drew my star design onto it, and she examined it wide-eyed. I give bumblebees to feminists, she started, to remind them even nature reflects their strength. I give tornadoes to those who overcome trauma, to remind them it's only tumultuous winds that will eventually subside. I now give bursting stars to the dreamers. Is that your name, V? I thought it over. It seemed to fit, but it did not start with V, so it couldn't be my name. No, Abel, it's close, but dreamer's not my name. Just as well. Tell me when you find it. I mean, when you learn what your name stands for. In the meanwhile, I'll give bursting star designs to those who dream of seeing the views of mountaintops. Abel took me to her studio in the cabin. The walls of the studio were decorated with symbols and potential tattoo designs. It was clear to me that Abel was passionate about her work. Perhaps it was because of the way she spoke of tattoos. Maybe it was because of that sparkle in her eye. Dream catalyst, I thought to myself. Abel, you're a dream catalyst. I would recognize that sparkle anywhere. I wondered why your eyes looked so familiar. Abel put her needle to my skin, over my right rib. The pain of permanence surged into my side. I knew better than to cry out in pain as Abel inked my side. After all, I left my true source of pain in the mountainside. No, that true source of pain was not heathen. Instead, it was complacency that pained me so. I left complacency behind with the people on the mountainside. Abel, I said, thank you. She smiled and continued to work. There on my right side, Abel left a small bursting star. I sat and contemplated these past 3 months as Abel began to bandage my new tattoo, so it could start its healing process. What did I ever see in heathen and the people on the mountainside? I did love something about heathen, despite his many faults, but what was it that allured me to him? After reflecting, I came to a revelation. I knew what it was that I loved about him. I loved heathen for the man he was before he got stuck on the mountainside. It would shine through the walls he built for himself from time to time. Somehow, I knew he was a nomad, even before he discovered Caprice's fairy on his nightstand. I knew he was a traveler like me, a more experienced traveler than I. I was still trying to live vicariously through him. I lived through his adventures, through his alluring stories. He would frequently tell me about the lands he had roamed, the people he had met. He was an adventurer before he settled on the mountainside. I did not love him. I loved his stories. Was vicarious my name? It does start with V after all. Maybe Abel was right. My novel was beginning to turn very dialogue heavy. I was living vicariously through others. Everyone had so much to say. Everyone had their stories to tell. But finding someone to listen to mine was a challenge. No, it's not that. It is not. I know for sure that vicarious was not my name. I would know it instantly if it was. No, I knew better than to believe I was vicarious by nature. I was much more than that. People told me their stories because I listened to them. I was not vicarious for listening to others. I had my own adventures to live. In reality, my life was nothing like the mountainside dwellers, and I was going to see the mountain tops. "Bee," Abel asked after she finished cleaning her tools. "Did you see the tattoo on Elfin's sleeve?" I nodded. "You know, you may want to forget Elfin, and forgive Elfin. You may not want to forgive Elfin, but you have to remember to have reverence for the fallen ones. She will rise again someday. Every tattoo comes with a story, and I tell one to Elfin as I decorate her arm. The same is true of the barista. That is why both keep coming back as my clients, to hear my stories. I know you feel betrayed by Elfin, but you've got to remember she is your sister, and she is gentle. Elfin is not a mountainside dweller, neither is the barista. Heathen keeps them, hostage there. But in reality, the two are meant for much greater things. I never stopped liking Elfin, I admitted. Nor did I stop respecting her. I just wish she had become the activist instead of the bystander. But she hasn't yet, and it broke my heart. B. Invest time in those who do not need to grow into their good character, but instead have already developed it. I nodded and told Abel I would from now on, but she knew I was lying. Something about the flawed among us seemed perfect to me. Perhaps because they had potential like a seedling had potential. Abel and I parted ways, and I left the mountainside. I bid Abel a final farewell. I took her symbols and her story with me. I drove to the fork in the road I had passed previously. I saw what the town of the mountainside had in store for me, and it was not enough. So I traveled onward to a new land awaiting me, the grounds I was yet to discover. Onward to art, onward to love, and onward to song. Perspective of the narrator, Angel. Bee rode onward down the country roads in quest of her future, but this time she traveled with a permanent bursting star inked on her side. So, that was chapter 9. So, next week we start on chapter 10. We have 4 chapters. Food eyes, paper planes, stargazing. Epilogue. Okay. Oh, right, Fallen Star. Yeah, we have a few more chapters to go. But thank you for listening to the story. I'm glad you like it. I've been reading in public, so it gets slightly awkward sometimes. That's why sometimes I cringe, because people walk by. But I'm glad that you guys are sticking by. Remember to tell people about Dream Catalyst and come back here for Monday at 6 p.m. for chapter 10. Thanks.